Alrighty, joining me now is a defenseman for the Manitoba Moose in the American Hockey League. He's also a Winnipeg Jets NHL prospect. He played 10 games in the NHL for the Jets last season. Hailing from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, he is Nelson Nogier. Nelson, how are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Excellent. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, and really do appreciate the time. You know, as a guy who I don't cover the NHL or hockey in general regularly, so this is quite the honor, and it's great chatting with you. Now, before we talk about the present day and what you have going on in your hockey career right now, I want to go back and talk about your backstory a little bit. Was hockey something you played all your life, ever since you could barely skate? Were you always on the ice, always playing hockey, or did it come a little bit later in your life?
No, you know what? That's something that started at a really young age. I mean, my parents put skates on me when I was 3 years old, and it's been the game that I've loved ever since.
Now, playing in the NHL as a kid who played hockey, as you said, or skated and played hockey ever since you were 3 years old or so, was playing in the NHL that your one big dream? Was that something you wanted?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, growing up as a kid, the best way to put it is it's the dream. I mean, you grow up wanting to be there, wanting to play there, and as you get a little bit older, you start to kind of put in a little more time and effort to try and make that dream come true. And then last season, I was fortunate enough to be able to experience that.
Right. Now, it to me, it seems like, when little kids, whether you're 10 years old or 7 or even, in your teenage years, when someone says, oh, I want to be, a professional athlete, I want to be in the NHL, I want to be in the NBA, the MLB, whatever, I want to be in the NFL, it almost seems for a lot of people, it's unrealistic. It's just a dream. It's like saying, oh, I want to go to space, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be this or that. It's, a lot of times when people say that, when little kids say that, it's in that phase when you don't really understand what's realistic, what's not. But to be a pro athlete, especially to get into the big leagues like the NHL, you need something special. That special something. Did your parents, did your family, did your friends see that in you from day one, or did it take a little convincing that you really could make it far?
No, it's definitely something that kind of progresses over time. I mean, you play your minor hockey growing up, and obviously no one's ever looking at that point of your life, like whether or not you're going to be a professional hockey player. But then as you start to kind of make your way through junior and you go through the draft process and becoming a prospect and just going through the process of what it takes is kind of where things start to unfold and where the chips start to fall. So it's when it comes down to it, there's going to be an opportunity at some point, and when you get that opportunity, you have to make the most of it.
Now, way before any of this happened, as far as you playing for the NHL, you being a regular member of the Moose roster, did your parents wish you took a quote unquote more normal route as far as career? Wish you became, I don't know, an engineer, a doctor, something that, go to university, get your degree, get your bachelor's degree, maybe get a master's, whatever, do what most people do. Did they want you to take that route, or were they, all in, supportive of your hockey aspirations?
No, they were definitely supportive and right behind me the whole time as far as supporting my decision of wanting to kind of chase the dream of being a professional hockey player. When I was younger, school was always stressed upon in our house and very important, but at the same time, my parents knew that hockey was kind of my life, and they're very supportive of the dream that I'm trying to chase.
Excellent. Now, I want to talk to you, the main reason, as a person who covers MMA and once in a while boxing regularly, the main reason I wanted to talk to you was because I heard from a fighter I know, Adam Lorenza, in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, one of the coaches at Modern Martial Arts Center, as I said, in Saskatoon. I saw a picture on Instagram, and it was talking about actually training you, and over this past summer, in another NHL/AHL athlete. How did this all come together? You're a hockey player, you're going all in on this hockey thing, and it's worked out, and now here you are on your off season, off months, you're training boxing. How did this all come about?
Well, after my first season of pro with the Moose, towards the end of the year, I sat down with the head coach during the exit meeting, and we just kind of both agreed that it would be a good idea that I do a little boxing for training in the off season, just to kind of give me some confidence if there's ever a fight that comes up on the ice during a game or whatever the matter is. And I just kind of through asking around and a trainer who knew a trainer type of thing, I was able to get a hold of Adam. And from there on in, I've just been training with Adam ever since here throughout the summer, along with my team, not necessarily a teammate, but my good buddy Taylor Lear.
Nice. Now, you play hockey, of course, out of Winnipeg. You played 10 games with the Jets and mostly with the Moose, still in Winnipeg. I assume because you've been training boxing in Saskatchewan that you're still living in your hometown of Saskatoon in the summer months?
Yeah, during the off-season, I go home and spend my time in Saskatoon.
I guess a good thing about playing hockey in Manitoba, you never really had to make that adjustment to the harsh winters, the cold weather, because it's not much different where you are.
Oh yeah, people bug me about that all the time. I'm pretty used to it, that's for sure.
Now, this boxing thing, did you like it? Did you enjoy it? I know it was something that, the hockey coaches and your trainer suggested you do just because so you could sort of hold your own in any like fights on the ice or whatever. But, was it something you ended up enjoying?
Oh, I loved every second of it. I went to my first lesson not really knowing what I was going to get myself into, and by the end of the summer, I wanted to try and go as many days a week as I could. The whole kind of part of me going, as I had mentioned, was just to try and have some confidence when it comes to fighting. But at the same time, too, the training that is involved in the cardio work and the muscular endurance, it really gave me a true appreciation of what those fighters go through in their training regime.
Now, I know you only did boxing for a couple months, this past summer. Was this the first time you had ever trained boxing, or did you do a little bit just, as a kid growing up, just for fun, just to stay in shape? Was this the first time ever, or have you had a little boxing experience in the past?
No, it was my first time ever.
Again, you've only done this for a couple months, and I don't know if you plan on continuing in the other off seasons or not. Maybe I'll ask you that in a sec. But how much do you feel like you learned? From the technical side, as far as the technical side goes, do you feel like at this point in time you can hold your own if you ever get in a scrap on the ice? You're obviously maybe not quite ready to jump into the ring and take on a pro boxer, but do you feel like you are a competent boxer at this point in time with only a few months of training?
I got to give a huge thanks to Adam. The amount of stuff that he taught me in such little time and how accommodating he was around my training schedule it was awesome. But, the amount of stuff that I learned, is so valuable, and it's going to get put to use hopefully when I need it. So it's, like you had mentioned, there's definitely no chance that you'll see me ever fighting in a boxing ring, but just to have that basic knowledge for when the time comes that I need it is definitely nice to have in my back pocket.
That's what I was going to ask you. So there's no way, you'll ever say after hockey, if hockey for some reason, and it looks like this won't be the case, but if it doesn't work out, anything can happen. Could you take this one step further, or is there no chance of that? Are you for sure just going to be a pro hockey player and definitely not jump ship over to MMA or boxing or some, a combat sport?
No, I definitely have no plans or intentions of jumping ship. The goal from day one is to be a professional hockey player, and where I'm at right now, that's what my sights are set on. So I won't have to think about anything else.
Do you enjoy watching boxing? In the past, are you a boxing fan, MMA fan, combat sports fan? Do you enjoy watching it, or was this sort of the first time you were exposed to it, whether that be, as you said, you hadn't trained it, but had you, watched it at all?
Yeah, no, I do follow it a little bit. I watch all the major fights. I watch the Mayweather-McGregor fight. I'm a huge McGregor fan. I'm sure tons of people are, but I don't have a whole lot of background in the sport, but I kind of get the fundamentals of it, that's for sure.
What was the most difficult and also the easiest part about training boxing these past few summer months?
When it comes to difficulty and stuff like that, as I kind of mentioned, the true appreciation that I gathered for the sport just through my training, as far as the technical side of things, and there's a lot of mental stuff in it as well, as far as knowing the combinations and the numbers when you're cracking the mitts, and And then there's the physical component of it too. I mean, the cardio and just the endurance that you have to go through when you're going through your training. I mean, there was so much that I learned throughout the months that I trained.
Next summer, do you expect to be back at Modern Martial Arts Center training boxing again?
Yeah, you betcha. I have 100% intentions of heading back there.
Excellent. And I heard a third NHL player might be training with you guys next year. Is that, are you excited for that? Do you know anything about that? I think, I don't recall his name, but it might be a Shark.
Well, yeah, there was Rourke Chartier is his name from Saskatoon, and then there's also Colby Cave as well. So there's a group of four of us. We actually train together at the same gym, and I was kind of the first one to get my feet wet in the boxing kind of scene as far as training goes, and then they heard me talking and ranting and raving about it, about how good it was at the gym, and then next thing you know, Taylor was with me, and now it sounds like we may have a couple more guys on board for next summer.
Does this mean we'll see you in more scraps on the ice, or just a regular amount?
No, I didn't want that to come about this, so I mean, if it happens, it happens. If not, it's not. But I have the background there if I need it.
Excellent, fair enough. Now, I want to talk to you about your hockey career a little bit. We started out sort of with your background. Now let's talk about, what's going on right now. You, of course, played in the junior leagues for, a number of years, did very well. Got signed to the Jets to an entry-level contract last year, June 2016. And, that was after being picked up by the Jets in the 2014 NHL entry draft. What moment, what specific moment or thing that happened really, marked when you realized that all of this hard work, being on the ice from the age of 3 to now, when did you realize all of this finally paid off, that you made the right decision not to go to, not to pursue, being an engineer, as I said, or something else? When did you realize that you made the right decision by pursuing a hockey career?
Well, I don't think there was one particular moment where I kind of realized that that's what I wanted to do, but I knew that school wasn't going to go anywhere, that I could go to school whenever I decided I'd want to. I mean, there's no set timeline as to when you need to go to school and when you need to finish it. And, at a young age, I thought, hey, I might as well give this hockey thing a shot. So I started playing in the Western Hockey League with Saskatoon Blades at 16. And then kind of progressed through there, and as you had mentioned, got drafted to the Jets following my 17-year-old season, and then just kind of tried to run with that opportunity as long as I could. And as the chips started to fall and as hard work started to pay off, I mean, there were opportunities that came up, and I made the most of them. And after my first year pro last year, I mean, I couldn't say enough good things about the choice that I made and the experiences that I went through.
How long do you expect to be a regular member of the Manitoba Moose? I as a person who doesn't cover hockey regularly, I admittedly don't know exactly how these entry-level contracts work. But, you're playing, it sounds like you'll be playing for the Moose for the second year in a row, and I guess we'll have to see. Someone might have to get injured if you get that call back to the Jets. But, how long do you expect to be playing regularly for the Moose before moving and assuming you'd still do well and their eye or the Jets and Paul Maurice's eye are still on you? When can you expect to make that, regular full-time jump to the Jets?
That I don't have the answer to. It'd be nice to have a crystal ball and know, but it's just going to be a reflection of the work that I do on the ice. And as you kind of had said there, it'll be a coaching staff decision. So there's still 2 years left on my entry-level contract, and I'm just going to continue to push and work real hard here throughout the next 2 years.
Are you surprised in any way at all that you haven't made that jump quite yet, that regular jump, or is it way too early? At 21 years of age, is it way too early to have those fairly, high expectations?
No, I don't really have too many expectations at all when it comes to that stuff. You'd love to say that you're an NHL regular, but at the same time, I also know that there's a process behind that, and I'm willing to go through it as long as I need to. So when that happens, it'll happen, hopefully. But where I stand right now, it's just going to be a matter of hard work here in the next coming weeks.
Now, you've played 10 NHL games, all for the Winnipeg Jets, and all earlier this year in the 2016-2017 season. You said before your first game, I was reading an interview you did, and it was posted the day of your first NHL game. And you said, not really surprisingly, you expected to be nervous, you expected there'd be nerves, and that's something you'd have to get past. Did that hold out to be true? Were you nervous walking out for your first NHL game? And was it easy or difficult to battle those nerves?
No, no question, there was definitely nerves when I got out there for warm-ups and then for the start of the game, but I was fortunate enough to be in the starting lineup in my first NHL game, and actually Adam Lorenza won the draw right back to my stick, and I just kind of chased the puck down into the corner, and I was fortunate enough to get a touch of puck there early in the game and then tried to settle down in the first period, but following the first period, the nerves started to settle down, and then I just kind of sat into my game come the second period.
Nice. Now, of course, as I said, you're still only 21, but I'm sure a lot of the goals you set for yourself early on when you're still, playing junior leagues and all of that, a lot of your goals you've completed them, You've got signed to the NHL, to an NHL team. You played your first NHL game. Now, you gotta say, all you have left or one of the, other than, doing extremely well, and that's years from now, but, one of the next goals, I would say, and you can, is getting your first NHL goal, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't argue with that at all.
So we're coming up to the 2017-2018 season pretty soon, just a couple month or two away. As I said, it seems like you'll be playing with the Moose, correct? And as far as making another jump to the Jets, is that all dependent on who gets hurt? If another defenseman does get onto the injury list, is that the only chance you'll have of getting to the Jets, playing for the Jets this upcoming season?
Well, you know what? There's a bunch of variables when it comes to that. The numbers game is definitely one thing. The Jets definitely have a lot of depth there in their D-core, and that's great to see. And injuries definitely play a factor in call-ups and all that kind of stuff, but it's also a reflection of my play and everyone else's play around me. So it's just a matter of trusting the process and being patient for an opportunity when it comes.
And you've done 2 Winnipeg Jets training camps, correct?
Sorry, how many did you mention?
I said 2 training camps with the Jets. Is that accurate?
Well, no, I've been going to Jets training camp since I was drafted, so this would be probably close to year 4 or 5.
Oh, wow. So, okay, and so you're, even though you're not playing regularly with the Jets, you're still with them for their training camp, yes? Yeah, you betcha. I'm actually in the car right now headed to Winnipeg for camp. So. Excellent. Yeah, I was going to ask you that earlier, and I forgot. I would assume this car ride, you mentioned you mentioned over text before this interview that you were in the car all day. I would assume that was from Saskatoon to Winnipeg. Yep, you're correct. Excellent. Last question for you, spare time. Do you get any, or is it all playing hockey, training, getting better, as far as hockey goes? And I guess in the summer, boxing. Do you have any other spare time when you're not on the ice or I guess in the gym? Yeah, definitely on the weekends. I love to get up to the lakes. I love being outdoors, love surfing behind our boats, and just trying to relax when I can get the downtime. Nice. And adjusting to the Winnipeg to the Winnipeg scene, has that been easy? Again, we talked about the weather. I'm sure that's been all right, although the weather still sucks in the winter. Saskatoon, Winnipeg, we're in the prairies. It's all the same kind of. Has that been a rather easy adjustment? You know what? It was a pretty easy adjustment. The cities are quite similar between Saskatoon and Winnipeg. Winnipeg's obviously bigger, but it's treated me real well, and I'm looking forward to this upcoming season. Sacrifices with moving and with playing, with an AHL and NHL team. I'm sure leaving your family behind. Did they? I would assume they didn't make the move with you. You still see them, in the off season in Saskatoon. Is that correct? Yeah, that's right. They stay at home and they come visit and try and catch some games when they can during the winter. Has that been difficult at all? Just not, being at your family's side every day. It's definitely not easy, but I've been living away from home since I was 18 now. I actually played 2 years of junior in Red Deer, so it's not really a new situation to me anymore. So I've gotten a little bit used to it. Alrighty, well, fair enough. Well, Nelson, really do appreciate the time. Before I let you go, let everybody know where they can find you on social media, and if there's anybody you'd like to thank or give a shout out to, any sponsors, whoever, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can check me out on Instagram or Twitter. Both handles are at Nelson Nogier. And got to give a huge thanks to Adam Lorenza. I mean, the amount of time and effort he put in to help train me here throughout the summer and get me ready for the season, I can't thank him enough. So hats off to Adam.